Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, somebody's spreading, I guess, a lot of what you would call naysay, doubt, stressing people out. I see it all the time in the group. People just go, oh man, the Iraqi Dinar is never going to change. It's never going to revalue. Well, one, we know that's not true. December 2020, the Iraqi Dinar revalued. Yeah, it went in the wrong direction. It lost value. That's a revaluation. So don't let people tell you, oh, it's not going to revalue, because it's a lie. Now I'm going to show you something that should give you a lot of optimism. Again, I don't like blowing smoke up your tuchus, but yeah, the Iraqi Dinar will revalue. It will. So don't listen to what all those people say, saying it's a scam, it's a ripoff. It's a currency. The currency doesn't rip people off. There are people out there using the dinar to rip people off. There's a huge difference. Let's get into this. Before I get started, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I sure do appreciate it. Right now is a great time to be buying gold and silver. Man, they are kicking the crap right out of gold and silver as far as their prices are concerned. That should not discourage you. Not at all. I think it was about 4 or 5 videos ago, I said, get ready. They're going to smack this sucker down pretty good. They were talking about dropping, believe it or not, silver all the way back down to $11. And I think they wanted gold somewhere around $1,200. Yeah, that's what they want. That's because the squeeze is still happening with precious metals. And now you have China and Russia right now, and I'll play a video later on about this, right now, laying out the plans for the gold standard. Now, Russia did a version of it, changed it a little bit, but we'll get into that in another video. So I was going over the World Bank. They do these write-ups on country, which you can learn a lot from them. So the first quarters already came and went. Here's what the World Bank has to say. And you always get the people out there going, oh, it's the World Bank, don't believe them. Or it's CNN, don't believe them. Or it's Fox News, don't believe them. No matter what your source is, they're just going to say, don't believe them. We know the dollar is dying. We know that once this gold standard happens, if Iraq was smart, they should already be moving in that direction as well. That is going to make their currency so strong. But even if it doesn't, the dollar is dying, people. I know our government tries to prop it up and make it look like it's just fine, but we know it's not. So as the value of the dollar declines, other currencies will gain against it. So let's go over this right here. It says, Iraq is one of the most oil-dependent countries in the world. Over the last decade, oil revenues have accounted for more than 99% of exports. Yeah, see, that's a problem. When you're looking for a stable economy, what you don't want is one sector being 99% of your exports. So yeah, that's not a strong economy. But let me go ahead and read this all together because it goes together just smoothly so you guys can get a bigger picture. It says oil revenues have accounted for more than 99% of the exports, 85% of the government's budget, and 42% of the GDP. So every time you hear the people out there going, Pimpy, man, the oil price is going up, that's going to make the currency value go up. No, it's not. You guys have seen me go through and play videos and show you what it is that you have to take in consideration before a country can change the value of its currency. Stable government, a secure and stable country, low unemployment, more exports than imports, a promising future. A lot of that is there, but really, they are on shaky legs. It doesn't take much to make them vulnerable. This excessive dependence on oil exposes the country to macroeconomic volatility, while budget rigidities restrict fiscal space and any opportunity of counter-cyclical policy. As of January 2021, in a country of 40.2 million people, Iraq's unemployment rate was more than 10% points higher than its pre-coronavirus levels of 12.7%. I like how they word that. 10 percentage points higher. So basically, they have unemployment around 15%. Unemployment amongst the displaced, returnees, women job seekers, the pre-pandemic self-employed, and informal workers remain elevated. So as you go through here, you could see exactly what Iraq needs to do to get on track and strengthen their currency. Unemployment is one of them. There's resolution in here. We'll go over it. Nevertheless, the economy is gradually recovering from the double oil and RONA shock of 2020. In the first half of 2021, GDP grew by 0.9% year over year. The non-oil economy grew by 21% in the first half of 2021. So that's actually awesome. Okay, non-oil economy. The more of that, the better. So the non-oil economy grew by over 21% in the first half of 2021, owing to a solid performance in the services sector, as RONA containment measures were eased, aided by the pickup in the vaccine campaign. This recovery outpaced the slowdown in the oil sector as Iraq adjusted to its OPEC Plus quota early in the year. So it was tourism that helped keep their head above, which they need more of those types of things. Important gains were made in budgetary revenues as average oil exports prices, we know now it's about what, $104 per barrel? Almost doubled, it's getting there. Customs and Tax Administration reforms outlined in the 2021 budget law started paying off, contributing to the 53% surge in domestic revenues mobilization. This was enough to turn the overall fiscal deficit, cash basis, into a small surplus of 0.6% of the GDP, despite spending rigidities. The current account deficit also turned into a surplus of 4.7% of GDP in quarter one of 2021, hence boosting the official revenues of the central bank. The strong recovery in the oil sector really was a godsend for Iraq. It really was. Plus, believe it or not, and I know people don't want to hear this, but the truth is, devaluing the Iraqi dinar was a major plus for them. It really helped dig them out of this hole. And I know people are like, that's not fair. These people are getting punished. And yeah, we know it's a punishment. But you got to understand that for, was it 30 damn years, a corrupt government that continues to try and stay in power was the cause of a lot of this. This is why you're seeing Sadr fight so hard. It says, while Iraq's economic conditions are greatly improving as international oil markets recover, this recovery is also fraught by major risks posed by structural bottlenecks, including public investment management constraints that have impacted public service delivery, the slow clearance of arrears, especially those related to public wages, and large exposure of state-owned banks and the central bank to the sovereign. These fragilities are aggravated by fragile political conditions, a weak healthcare system, and rampant corruption that continues to trigger unrest across the country. This is what Sadr's trying to do. Now, it's not going to wave a wand out of his butt and presto, all the corruption's gone. He's fighting right now like hell to keep those corrupt people out of office. The Law Coalition, headed by Maliki and his people. Sadr doesn't want them involved in the Iraqi government, and we know that there's members already that have been arrested and indicted from the coordination framework. This is why they're afraid to let Sadr form the government that he wants. These people know there's some accountability coming up. If Sadr can form the government that he wants, he gets in there and he starts arresting these people, indicting them, holding people accountable for all the corruption, throw these people in jail, then the international community is going to open up a whole lot more to Iraq. I guarantee it. The economy is forecast to gradually recover on the back of the rising oil prices and OPEC Plus production quotas, which are planned to be phased out in 2022. Oil GDP will be the main driver of growth in the medium terms. Non-oil GDP is forecasted to recover, but remains under 3% on average of the 2021 through 2020 but remain under 3% on average between the years 2021 through 2023 is what they're forecasting, due to the impact of the RONA, compounded by water and electricity shortages, which affect agriculture and industries. Of course it does. It doesn't help that you got a lot of terrorist people blowing up stuff every time you try to get your crap together. Not to mention you got Iran over there trying to interfere with Iraq's business. And they're doing everything they can to disrupt the forming of the government that Sauder wants. Missile launching, assassination attempts. This doesn't help matters. And the whole world watches what's going on. They definitely need to do something about the water. They definitely need to do something about the electricity shortage. It says, as a result, the physical balance is forecasted to remain in surplus in the medium term, leading the debt to GDP ratio to steadily improve. So Iraq's economic outlook is mirrored by significant downside risk that call for the accelerated implementation of structural reform. Yes, we know they need to start rebuilding their infrastructure. After 3 decades of war between fighting with America, terrorist attacks, ISIS coming over and establishing a caliphate, floods, dust storms. So this paragraph's going to go on to let you know where the concerns are in Iraq. And you should pay attention to this as well, because these things affect the value of the Iraqi dinar. So it says Iraq's economic outlook is mirrored by significant downside risk that call for the accelerated implementation of structural reform. These include a potential decline in the oil prices. That's a possibility. They're up there right now, but keep in mind, once this Ukraine and Russia thing is over with, depending on the outcome, and they start lifting sanctions from Russia, then Russian oil goes back out to the world. That's going to affect the price of oil with the OPEC people. A worsening RONA crisis due to the spread of new variants. Yeah, we know that's not going to stop. I just watched a grand jury case in which a lady said, a whistleblower claimed there's over 150 variants they are ready to unleash to keep us in lockdown. Never going to end unless people stand up and do something about it. Potential deterioration in security conditions. Yeah, if the ISIS keeps working their way over, or all of a sudden there's some civil unrest, you got political blocks fighting with one another. If we start getting some civil unrest in there, this is an opportunity for groups like ISIS or Al-Qaeda to sneak in there and corrupt the minds of the youth. The intensification of climate change shocks and additional macroeconomic volatility. Averting or mitigating the impact of these risks depends on the policies of the future government and a commitment to comprehensive reforms in line with those envisioned by the government of Iraq's white papers, the government's reform program. Iraq has the potential to get back to where they used to be, minus Saddam Hussein. But if you have these political blocks in there, you have people divided by religion, divided by ideology, divided by tribes, if they can't get on the same page and realize that they need to work together as a team so everybody benefits together, this country is going to continue to struggle. I know when I told everybody what was happening, we talked about the Chapter 7, and I laid out all the wrong things that's going on in Iraq. People are like, no way, Pimpy. They're going to change the rate because why are they punishing Iraq for so long? 30 years? They don't deserve to be punished that long for what happened. No, they shouldn't have been punished that long. But it wasn't the United States. It wasn't the United Nations. It was the Iraq government. Because they were so corrupt, they couldn't pull themselves out of Chapter 7 all the way. So it was the corrupt government that kept that punishment going. I did a video showing you that. So we know the potential is there. We got to get the electric grid up. We got to make sure people stop bombing them, blowing them up. Because once the electricity is up, that's going to help with the agriculture. That's going to give them another form of exports. This is going to be a big boost. We know they need to do something with the infrastructure, which we know they are already working on. So people can start getting around, traveling. If you could travel, that helps out with tourism, which was a big boost for them in 2021. They're there, you guys are right on the verge. So don't listen to people when they go, man, it's never going to happen. But understand where they're coming from. Most likely they've been holding on to the dinars now for 20 years or so, who knows? But you can understand the frustration. Heck, I haven't held on to them that long, and it's frustrating to me. But at least we know what to look for, right? This is why I share other information. Everybody's talking about the RV this and the RI that. Over here, man, we bring education to this thing. We talk about the reality of where everything is. So people ask me, do I have any concerns whatsoever about the Iraqi dinar? One concern. Well, I shouldn't say just one concern. Look, if they can't get their crap together, let's be honest, the rate's never going to change. And it is going to go up in increments, there's no doubt about it. As the economy continues to recover and Iraq starts rebuilding itself, they start coming around to some kind of level of normal. And the government's getting along and the people are getting along and there's no civil unrest and Iraq is not interfering. Oil isn't covering 99% of their budget. You're going to start to see, as each one of these things start to strengthen, little by little, you're going to see the dinar go up in value. There's no doubt about it. But one of the things that I am keeping an eye on that's bothering me is the fact that Iraq is in a huge rush to launch their version of the central bank digital currency, because I'm curious how that's going to affect us who are holding on to the paper version of the Iraqi dinar, the IQD. So I am digging into that. Once I get that information, I will share with you, but it's going to change. It's not going to stay down there. People are saying that it's never going to revalue or full of crap. We know it revalued. We've seen it happen in December 2020. All right. But as far as the RI is concerned, I don't know about that, but an RV, there's no doubt about it. I'm not saying the RI never going to happen. We're going to see Iraq grow. They're doing it by leaps and bounds. Look how far they come just since Al-Qademi took over just a little over a year ago. And he's still in charge of now. And I don't care what those guys do. I hope Sauder keeps the same people there and let them continue down that path, because the reforms are working and they're working in a big way. Anyways, that's it for now. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.